What is going on, guys? General Mittens here, and welcome to the Mittens Report. Now, in this episode of the Mittens Report, I do have 5 news stories instead of the usual 4. And all of these news stories are quite relevant still. They haven't been counted or anything. So, without further ado, we'll get started. So the first news report of this episode is that Eidos Montreal, who are the developers that are developing the next Thief game, have actually come out and said that they have ditched the QuickTime events. They confirmed this over a development blog, and the community manager, I'm going to pronounce this wrong, but Valerie Bordeaux, said, "We're not implementing them. To begin with, there were very few instances of QuickTime events in the game. In fact, there was only one in that whole hour-long E3 demo. However, given the strong reactions it evoked in the press and the community, it was an easy decision to do away with them entirely. So we're not doing it. No QuickTime." So this news story is such a great news story. It's one of those things you hear that puts a smile on your face, because it shows that Eidos Montreal are a developer that actually listens to their community. Not like, oh yeah, we're listening, and they don't really say it, and it takes them 3 petitions on change.org to even think about changing it. No, they have a few complaints about QuickTime events, boom, it's out. And they also did this before with, I believe it was the XP leveling system, where you would get bonuses for headshots or multi-kills, all that kind of thing. And the community was complaining because it sort of evokes people to try and kill. And that's not the aim of Thief games. Thief games are all about stealing as much shit as you possibly can without killing anyone, because you really suck in a fight. So this is twice in the development cycle of the Thief game that the developers have said, yep, sure, you know, you guys don't like it, we'll just not have it. Simple as that. This is one of the best news stories to come out in about a year, maybe even more. And they listen openly. They are not afraid to admit that they were wrong. They're not afraid to admit that, yeah, you guys didn't like it, so we're going to change it. I'm really happy that Eidos Montreal are doing this, and it's shaping up to be a really, really good game. And I'm getting more and more excited about the new Thief game because of stories like this. The next news story of this episode is that the Battlefield 4 PC servers were hampered by a DDoS attack last weekend. The developers DICE wrote that we are currently experiencing attacks on our infrastructure that is impacting online gameplay on Battlefield 4 PC. We are working on mitigating actions. We are being targeted by DDoS, but working on fixing it ASAP. I'm sorry somebody is ruining yours and my day. Rest assured, we are doing our best to mitigate the situation though. Now, I did play a little bit of Battlefield 4 over the weekend, and I gotta say, I didn't notice anything. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, it can be viewed as a bad thing, seeing as it was so laggy that I literally did not notice any performance hits, or that I just luckily didn't get in a server that had been targeted. So for those of you who were wondering why there were some strange things going on in your server, that is why. They were being attacked by DDoS. So the third news report of the episode is that Fallout 4 has been trademarked by Bethesda in Europe. Now, before I start this news story, there has been a website that has been launched, I think about a day or 2 ago as of recording, and it's called Survivor 2299, I believe. And it's basically like a massive countdown. It's got some Morse code in there. I haven't been able to decode it, but I'm pretty sure it says something. A lot of people think it's fake though, but now that Fallout 4 has been trademarked by Bethesda, this could mean that we're finding out in that countdown period if a Fallout 4 game is going to be announced. I'm not a huge fan of the Fallout games. I do have them both, but I haven't played them enough yet. But this is something that I've heard fans go on and on about, that they want a Fallout 4. And it looks like it might be getting announced this year. So for those of you who are looking forward to Fallout 4, be prepared, it might be announced in the coming month. The fourth news report of this episode is that the Fable Anniversary game has received an R rating due to the Lost Chapters brothel. Now, Fable Anniversary is a HD remake of the first Fable, which had received an M rating back in 2004. Now, a website called Player Attack has obtained the board's report, and they have come to the conclusion that it has received an R18 rating because of an edition that is only available in Fable Anniversary, and it is called the Darkwood Bordello. Now, apparently there are 2 options within the Darkwood Bordello, that actually exceed the guidelines for an MA15 plus rating. Now I quote, "The first is that male characters receive an in-game reward for soliciting the services of a number of prostitutes. The second is that characters can don a specific costume and participate in the intimate act of love with a specific NPC in exchange for in-game gold." This game is looking to be pretty hardcore. Now I'm actually quite happy that Fable Anniversary has received an R rating, not because it makes it look really hardcore and big. It's because if it didn't, it would have just been banned altogether from Australia, and us Australian gamers, we've experienced enough of that already. We've finally received an R rating, and we've been threatened that certain games will be banned still. So I'm quite happy that this game has passed classification, even if it does have an R18 rating. Now the final news report of this episode is that Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag on the PlayStation 4 has a day one patch that brings the resolution from 900p to 1080p. Now the firm's community manager Gary Steinman has said finishing the game at 900p gave the development team the extra room in terms of the GPU and CPU usage to ensure the frame rate never dips below 30 frames a second. The team then used this time between the ship date and the release to focus on a title update that could deliver native 1080p resolution on the PlayStation. This patch comes with the 1080p upgrade and also comes with anti-aliasing, which smooths out certain objects that are in the distance when moving the camera around. Now this can be looked at one of two ways. One is that Ubisoft as a company are just money whores and they want to release the game unfinished, in quotation marks, at 900p and then cheap out and release a patch, leaving them no extra time to finish the game at 1080p and ensure that the frame rate never dips below 30 frames a second. Now the way I view it is that it's completely fine to have a day one patch that just ups the resolution and is completely optional. It does suck for those that can't get an internet connection and have to play the game at 900p, but to be honest, if I was one of those who has a PlayStation 4 and is getting Assassin's Creed 4 on the PlayStation 4, I would be more than happy to play the game at 900p if the game runs at 30 frames a second or over, rather than playing the game at 1080p at launch and having the game dip to 20 frames a second. I'd rather download the patch that upgrades it but doesn't affect the frame rate. So those are the 5 news reports of this episode. Are you happy that Eidos Montreal have ditched the QuickTime events? Are you hoping that Bethesda announced Fallout 4 this year? What do you think about the addition to Fable Anniversary that gives the game an R rating? If you have any answers to these questions, definitely make sure to leave a comment down below. So thank you for watching this episode of the Mittens Report. If you think I can improve the quality of my videos in any way, make sure to leave a comment down below or PM me and I'll be sure to respond and take it on board. So thank you for watching yet again. My name is General Mittens and I'll see you in the next video.